Yo. Yeah. This is the new Native Instruments expansion. DJ Khalil. Yeah. This is one of the projects inside of this particular expansion. Yeah. And if you're looking for that Dr. Dre sound, DJ Khalil has been a very big part of that. So, without further ado, let go. Yo, G, bless him, bless him, bless him. Hey, folks, welcome back to Blessed by G Beats. I am the G, and today, Native Instruments has done it again. Native Instruments has done it again. Here we are, not even 2 to 3 weeks removed from probably the dopest expansion and play instrument combination that Native Instruments has ever released, and they release another expansion. Wow. Well, this expansion is a little bit different, and so I want to make sure I explain this thoroughly so you'll understand, in case you haven't bought Pure Drip, in case you haven't bought Magnetic Coast, in case you haven't bought Faded Reels and the special they have going with Lo-Fi Glow, in case you haven't bought those 3 plus that one play instrument, if you haven't bought those, I want to make sure you understand something about this particular expansion in particular. This is an artist series. Now, I'm noticing something about the artist series. We're about to go through this. Don't worry, I'm not going to talk too long, but we're going to go through this. The artist series of expansions are really not that big. I first noticed this when we did the stereotypes, and I was like, okay, after Pure Drip, they came out with the stereotypes, and I was like, wow, don't get me wrong. I understand the stereotypes are hit makers, but when you look at the pure amount of material that they had inside of Pure Drip, stereotypes didn't quite measure up, in my opinion. So now we have the same thing with the DJ Khalil expansion. We don't quite have the same amount of material. Let's go to the screen real quick and kind of see what we're working with here. It says here, this is DJ Khalil's signature sound, the versatile sound of LA hip-hop created by a mastermind of the scene's watershed tracks. Flip melodic content that spans from smooth funk excursions and upbeat soul to vintage sampled synths. Packed with kits for Machine and Battery, presets for Monarch, boutique melodic loops, and much more. And it goes on to say here, DJ Khalil's, it says, handcrafted sounds from an LA legend. DJ Khalil's productions are intrinsically LA, blowing funk tinged West Coast hip hop up to global proportions and crafting careful, understated compositions that ooze expression. He puts his stamp on the entire U.S. scene for over 2 decades, working with the likes of 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Logic, Nipsey Hussle, and many more. And when you listen to this expansion, you can actually hear those sounds, especially that Dr. Dre, early 50 Cent stuff. It says, in this expansion, DJ Khalil shares his unique approach to creating, recording, and sampling, from his personal synth collection to live musicians, to create a unique, comprehensive sample library with a distinctive vintage feel. And so we see here, it says, Khalil's expansion reflects his workflow, taking the art of sampling to fresh boutique content for full control that retains its vintage roots. It packs years of recording sessions, sampled, chopped, and curated into kits bursting with melodic and percussive content. He also invited us on a deep dive into his own rare synth collection to multi-sample some one-of-a-kind gear and capture its current condition. Hard-hitting, live drums, looped and chopped melodies, and Khalil's sound design wizardry make it a hip-hop expansion unlike any other. It has 185 loops, 215 drum samples, 115 one-shots. Drum kits, 34 battery kits, 25 Maschine kits. Synth presets, 8 Monarch presets. That's it. Maschine exclusive, 105 patterns, 9 multi-sample instruments, and 7 projects. You've heard one of those. Additional information, 44 hi-hats, 24 percussion, 66 snares, 39 kicks, 17 claps, 19 cymbals, 3 shakers, 3 toms, and a partridge in a pear tree. Installer size, 800 and roughly 70 megabytes. And so when we look at this expansion, I think it needs to be said once again that this expansion does not have the amount of material that Faded Reels just hit us with, and Magnetic Coast and Pure Drip. So this is more along the line, and I think this is why they're calling it the Artist Series. It's more along the line of the stereotypes. You're getting a legendary producer, and you're kind of getting some insight into his sound. And so this particular expansion, you know, we're about to run through it. It is strictly DJ Khalil's sound. But make no mistake about it, the drums are crispy. It's got some nice samples. I actually think it's more geared towards people who use sample-based music because there's not a lot of instruments and things of that nature. But nevertheless, I can always figure out a way to flip a sample. I'm gonna make a beat with this and show you how I would use this particular expansion. But nevertheless, we're gonna get right into it. We're gonna do what we normally do. We're gonna run through all of the kits that come with it. We're gonna run through the multi-sample sounds, and then we're gonna listen to the Monarch sounds, and then we're gonna conclude this video, and then we're going to move right along to the next video, which will be a beat-making video with the DJ Khalil expansion by Native Instruments. So, without further ado, let go. Okay, so let's kind of get going here through the kits. There's actually 7 projects. This is really not that long. I've already let you hear one of the projects to kind of let you kind of get an idea of what these sounds really sound like and what you can do also with this. I think maybe let's listen to one more project because it's only 1 minute. I think there's another project that I really like on here called On the Run. All right, that was, once again, that was a song called On the Run. I'm pretty sure DJ Khalil, along with Native Instruments, put that together. Very dope track. There are some very dope loops inside of this thing if you're, like I said, if you're definitely into loop-based music. So, without further ado, let's go ahead now and get into these projects. Let's go ahead now and get into these kits. And so you can get a good idea here of what you're looking at with this DJ Khalil kit. Okay, so first is the 1974 kit. Dope. Next is the 1988 kit. Great year. Next is Baldwin Hill's kit. Next is the Crenshaw kit. Next is the Fairfax kit. Next is the Good Life kit. Now these kits are the ones I'm going to spend a lot of my time in. These chord progressions and riffs and things like that. Got like 2 or 3 really good kits that have these riffs and things in them. But next, the Inglewood kit. Next is the LA Bria kit. Next is the Lamert Park kit. Next is the Mahdi kit. Next is the Malibu kit. Next is the Mid-City kit. Now, as you can see on the screen, I've pretty much already went through this pretty thoroughly, and I have favorited the kits that I plan on coming back to and maybe doing my beat series on from this particular expansion. And that's that particular, this kit is really dope. The next one is the NoHo kit. Next is the Ocean Views kit. Next is the Self Sigh for Life kit. Self Sigh for Life kit. Next is the Slauson kit. Next is the Survival kit. Man, that is absolutely dope right there. I wish they would have gave us more of the actual instrument sounds themselves so we could actually make that particular type of riff right there or something similar. But if I'm not mistaken, I think that's a loop. But nevertheless, the next kit is the house kit. Next is the Jungles kit. Next is the Math kit. That is absolutely dope. You can definitely hear that Dr. Dre type of sound in here, man. It is so, this is so clean, especially how crispy the drums are. Next is the Unity kit. The Unity kit is probably where I'm going to make my what I'm going to make my first beat with. But nevertheless, next is the Venice Boulevard kit. These sounds are just so West Coast too, aren't they? Definitely reminds me of the LA type of sound, but I can hear also being able to do some East Coast with this. So don't get it twisted, because Dre has worked with 50 Cent amongst others. And of course, Eminem being from Detroit, even though that's not necessarily the East Coast, but these sounds will definitely translate even if you want to do songs other than that type of sound. So next is the View Parks kit. The View Park kit. Drums just crispy, man, crispy. Next is the Virginia Road kit. Dope. Next is the Wake Up kit. Definitely will be working with these type of kits. But nevertheless, that's it. 25 kits. So a lot of crispy drums in there, a lot to work with, not as much material as usual, but nevertheless, I still like it. Next, let's get into the multi-sample sounds. We have 9 of those. Let's get into it. Okay, first we got the banjo CB, bass AS, carousel CB, cello AS, cymbalom CB, keys CC, keys YCS, piano AS, poly CC. Now to me, on the multi-sample sounds, and next will be Monarch. This is where I think they made a misstep. With all of the vintage keyboards that DJ Khalil has, we should have got more of those type of sounds because Maschine and Complete, they are definitely capable of it. But hey, it's just my opinion. Native Instruments knows better than me. What do I know? I'm just making videos. But I think it would have been great if we could have got more of those vintage sounds like Lo-Fi Glow to be able to really, really take this expansion to the next level. But nevertheless, let's get into the 8 Monarch sounds, and then we're going to conclude. Okay, so first is the Eloy Lead 1, Eloy Lead 2, Fire, Gentle Giant 1, Gentle Giant 2, Memory, Memory 7th, Virginia Road. And so, that's pretty much it for this kit. That's pretty much it for this expansion. Don't get me wrong, there is quality material here, but if you're looking for quantity, be very careful, because I think if you get this particular expansion looking for quantity, you're going to be disappointed. But if you're someone like me who already has all of these expansions, who already has the last 3 and plus about 25 others, hey, you know what? This is just going to be more ammunition for this whole beat thing that we're doing. It's just more ammunition. So for me, I absolutely love it, but I just want to make sure to preface that if you get this, be careful if you haven't got some of those other expansions that may have more bang for the buck, because even though this doesn't have as much material, it's still $49.99 like those expansions that have all of the material. But like I said, nevertheless, overall, this is a very, very dope expansion to me, just from the fact that even though I may not get necessarily all of the, sounds. Hold on, I'm gonna pull up a project here and we're gonna fade out on a project. But I may not get all of the sounds that I necessarily want. But just to be able to get these drums, man, I'm telling you, I have waited about 2 days to do this because I've been playing around with this expansion and just listening to the drums. And the drums alone, they are some of the most high quality drums I've ever heard in any sample pack. I mean, whenever you hear a Dr. Dre album, the production is so clean and crystal clear, and the drums, even though they sound vintage, they sound so crispy. And this particular expansion definitely has the crispy drums. And if you're into loops, I'm gonna do more videos, and I'm gonna go in and show you in some other videos how to really use this to its full potential with those loops and things like that. But if you're someone who's into loops especially, man, this right here covers the whole gamut as far as loop-based music plus the dope drums to go with it. So that's my time. That's gonna do it for this quick video. So until the next video, keep grinding, keep inspiring. Peace. drums. Yeah.